Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Monday, May 9th, and this is the MLB DFS video for today. So in this video, we'll be taking a quick look back at yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out. I do apologize for yesterday's video. I just made a post because the video itself did not actually save properly, so didn't really have quite as much time as I would like to go back and redo it at that point in time, since it was an early slate yesterday. And then after that, we're going to look at the core picks and the top GPP stacks for the FanDuel main slate for today as well. But without further ado, we get started with the recap of yesterday's picks. We had Alek Manoah at the pitcher position, $10,400. Only ended up pitching 5 innings yesterday. Not a lot of strikeouts. Gave up like 3 runs, so he only got to 18 points, so he was a miss overall. Early on in the day, I did have Brian Hayes, who had some pretty good history there at third base. Ended up switching over to Dan Vogelbach at $2,600. If you looked at my tweet, I think it was the tweet with the cheat sheet as well, I said you could go to Bobby Witt at third base as well. Vogelbach got 0 points. Bobby Witt got 9.2, so Vogelbach was a miss. Bobby Witt would have been a hit. And then at second base, shortstop, whichever position you ended up playing him at, Jorge Polanco, $3,100, got to 19 points, so he was a good hit. Then we have Brian Reynolds, $2,700, got to 21.7 points, so he was a hit as well. And then last but not least, we had Ryan Mountcastle, $3,000. He got to 21.7 points, and he was a hit as well. So pretty solid day for the last 3 guys. The first 2 guys were the 2 misses, so hopefully you guys still had a chance to cash in yesterday. The lines that I did play yesterday doubled up myself, even with Alek Manoah in that pitcher position. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to the core picks for today. So we're going to start off with the pitcher position with Noah Syndergaard, $9,000, averaging just over 28 fantasy points per game on the season. Out of all the pitchers today, he seems like the best overall value to me. He has limited history versus these Tampa Bay hitters, which typically favors the pitcher, a guy that could potentially offer you a quality start today, and there's not a lot of those guys out there. And unless you really wanted to pay up to a guy like Carlos Rodon at like $11,100, my top pay-up option on the day, Noah Syndergaard looks pretty good because you're saving over $2,000 right there. So there is some upside there, potential for a quality start, potential for a win, and some high upside as well. Although the strikeout numbers probably not what we'd like them to be at this point in time, but maybe he changes that around today. Then we move over to first base with Jose Abreu, $3,500. He's been on a tear as of late, averaging just under 9 fantasy points per game. Goes against Zach Plesac today, who is very, very much struggled so far this season. He's 5 for 20 versus him in his career with 1 home run. Hoping to improve that average against Plesac today. Then we move down to shortstop Jean Segura. If you're talking about another guy that's been really hot as of late, Jean Segura is that. Double-digit points in his last 3 games. He has on a 6-game hitting streak as well. Goes against Chris Flexen of the Seattle Mariners today. Once again, he's $2,700, averaging just over 8 fantasy points per game. Looking like a value today and has some potential to put up some big numbers as well. Then we move down to outfield with Austin Slater, $2,400. A guy that doesn't start every day, but a guy that hits left-handed pitching very well. Goes against the Colorado Rockies and Austin Gomber today, and he is 4 for 8 versus him in his career, averaging just over 7 fantasy points per game. If we get double-digit out of Austin Slater today, we're going to be very, very excited, and he's been starting to hit the ball a little bit better as well. Then last but not least, we have Luis Robert, $3,600, averaging just under 11 fantasy points per game on the season. Another guy that hit Zach Plesac well in his career, 7 for 13 versus him. He has no home runs versus him yet in his career, but maybe that changes today. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players, you'll have $13,800 remaining, just under $3,500 per player. So definitely some room to spend up for some guys if that's something you want to do. But there are also some good values on tonight's slate. So mixing and matching is definitely something you can do on tonight's slate overall. Be sure to get creative. If you want to pay up for Carlos Rodon over Noah Syndergaard, you could definitely do that as well. There are some decent value options out there today, especially from the White Sox team overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my top GPP stacks for the FanDuel main slate for today. So the ones that I do have today, obviously the White Sox versus Zach Plesac, who struggled very much so far this season. Some of these White Sox hitters do have pretty decent stats versus him in their career. I believe I ended up with 6 White Sox on my cheat sheet with Jose Abreu, Yasmani Grandal, Lurie Garcia, who's been on a tear lately and hit Plesac well in the past as well. Just missed out on my core. Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada in his return today, and then obviously Luis Robert that we already talked about. And then we have the Seattle Mariners versus Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez pitched very, very well last season. Not so much this year. Mariners actually have hit left-handed pitching pretty well, with guys like Ty France and Abraham Toro. Julio Rodriguez almost made my cheat sheet. He was just a little bit too expensive for me today, personally, but definitely somebody you could explore playing. Then last but not least, we have the Diamondbacks, who are going against Eliezer Hernandez, who's had a very, very rough start to the season. A couple guys that are looking pretty decent versus him that did make my cheat sheet, in Dalton Varsho and Kettle Marte. Definitely some other guys that you could play from that lineup as well. David Peralta was on there too. I do apologize. I missed him at first, but he has decent history versus Hernandez with a home run versus him as well. But with that being said, these are my core picks as well as top GPP stacks for today, May 9th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to let me know your favorite play on tonight's slate, whether it's one of my core 5, someone from my top GPP stacks, or a completely different player that you guys think I missed. Definitely interested in hearing what you have to say. But with that being said, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS, whether it's MLB or USFL DFS. Those are the two that are ongoing at this point in time. Once we get back around to the regular seasons for the NFL and NBA, we'll be covering that as well. And then also be sure to check out my NFL Draft Grade series, where I go division by division, team by team, pick by pick, grading each pick and giving an overall grade for each individual team, if that's something you're into. And then if you're a new or current subscriber who's yet to do so, also be sure to hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. Like I've been saying, I post up daily MLB DFS videos just like this. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special little shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.